What's up, guys? Welcome to a new day. I'm Stephanie Ryder, and this is the 365 Shares podcast. It's January 24th, 2024, and this is the 24th episode of the 365 Shares podcast. Today's topic is Actor versus Reactor, and the Big Red Book says this book will truly move you from a place of reactor to actor in life. As said in many 12-step programs, it works if you work it. And what they're talking about is when we were children and we learned to be reactive and to live in survival mode, because often if we didn't react immediately to what an abusive parent was saying, then we would be punished. We also may have had situations where we've been forced to be in the freeze response mode, especially with sexual trauma, where you just freeze and you're not allowed to fight back. And so that is an internalized response. The Strengthening My Recovery book says we learn to stop, question, and decide what our role is and should be, rather than jump to conclusions. This is something that's hard to do if you're used to reacting quickly, if you're someone who always has a comeback, or if you always jump into class clown mode where you're trying to diffuse the situation, if you stay silent and you never find that moment to speak up and say your mind or to put a stop to things that you are not comfortable with. All of these are examples of being a reactor instead of an actor, where you're only acting in response to something that was said to you or something that's done to you or whatever the situation is. You're reading the room and you're using that to decide how you're going to respond, versus the Big Red Book is saying when we find our true selves, we move to being actors, where we can start to dictate the tone of the conversation or the energy of the room or set the boundaries that we're comfortable with instead of just trying to accommodate other people's boundaries if that's not what we want. And it's all really hard to do. It takes a lot of practice. The steps are really helpful for getting to a place where you feel confident enough in yourself to be able to take up space in that way, where you can say, this is what I want. And I'm going to act based on how I think and how I feel, and not just wait to see what happens and play it as it comes. I'm Steph, and this is my share. Today's affirmation from the Big Red Book says, on this day, I will take time to read from the Big Red Book to help me further silence the critical voice that may still cause me to be reactive. I'm taking up a few new hobbies. I started playing pickleball with my ACA group, actually, which is really fun. It's a lot like tennis, but they have some different rules. And it's just a fun social game. It took a lot out of me the first time I did it. And I also have started going to country line dance lessons, which is really fun. And also just leaves me exhausted. The first time I did it for an hour, it's a 2-hour class. And the first time I did it for an hour. And then this next time I made it an hour and a half, but physically exhausted, even though you're not dancing hard enough that you're working up a sweat, just thinking about the steps and concentrating and moving your body in all these ways and like connecting audio cues that the instructor is saying to the movement that your body is making when you're not, used to doing that. And I took dance lessons when I was a kid for years and years, but it's just been such a long time. And I think when I was a kid, especially when I was in dance, there was a lot of turmoil going on in my life. So I always felt like I never really could fully concentrate on anything that I was doing, whether it was school or dance or, any kind of activity, because I just always had so much on my mind and so much anxiety about what was happening at home when I wasn't there, what would happen when I got back. But this is just a nice experience to go play a sport with people who are kind and explain the rules to you gently and give you as many chances as you need if you make a mistake and don't berate you. Like, it's so interesting and nice to learn to play a sport with people who are in recovery and who are kind, because normally it's like an abusive parent yelling at us to do something, or we have a coach yelling at us. There's a lot of yelling at kids around sports. Like, why are we teaching kids to play sports by yelling at them? I don't know, but it's refreshing as an adult to have a different experience. And it's nice to go to a dance class, just kind of like remember, have things come back to me that I learned when I was a kid. I mean, I took ballet, tap. I was in clogging for a while with a girlfriend of mine. We were like clogging with all these adults, and it was really fun. It's sort of like tap, but there's 2 taps and they click each other, jazz, hip hop, like every kind of dance. And it was always fun, but I was never a star at anything. I was just always like in the chorus and in the, the background dancers and participating, but just really loving it. So it's nice to be in a group where, if you're line dancing, there never is a star. The point is being part of the group and going along with the group. And it's just kind of like a big flash mob. If you're out at some of the Western bars and, certain songs come on, everyone rushes the dance floor and they all know these really complicated line dances with like jumps and claps and all this cool stuff. And I just want to be a part of that. So I'm slowly starting my dance journey, my country line dance journey. And that's just, I think, an example of me deciding to be an actor a little bit more. I think in the past, my social life has really been dictated by my partners and what they want to do. I haven't really just said, on this day, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, this night I'm going to do dance lessons. And this afternoon, I'm going to play pickleball. And this movie theater has discounted movies on this day of the week. So I'm just going to go to a movie by myself. I'm trying to build in all these little activities for myself to get more comfortable going places, on my own, learning new things. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to keep up all this, all this new stuff I'm doing. I think it's kind of fun. I think it's good for my brain. My grandmother used to say, use it or lose it, when she did any kind of crossword puzzles or games. And she always tried to take the stairs just to make sure that her body kept moving, and she used her muscles as much as possible. So I'm going to try to use the parts of my brain that teach me new things and that connect to my body movements, because I don't know, there doesn't seem to be a downside to doing that. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.